abroad, including Mexico, and bring them to the U.S. for trial even without a foreign country's permission. Law correspondent Rita Braver reports.
The brutal murder of U.S. Drug Enforcement agent Enrique Camarena by drug dealers in Mexico so enraged the DEA that it hired a team of Mexicans to kidnap a suspect in the killing and bring him to stand trial in the U.S. Now in a Los Angeles jail cell, Humberto Alvarez Machain recounts how the abductors put a gun to my head and precisely told me that if I didn't go with them, they were going to kill me. To the DEA, it was fitting retribution for a man accused of aiding Camarena's torture and ultimate murder.
Don't be alarmed, Mr. Camarena. You're among good friends.
The Mexican government protested the U.S. snatching of one of its citizens and demanded Alvarez Machain's return. But today, in a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court said that in most circumstances, the U.S. government has the right to go into foreign countries and kidnap fugitives to stand trial here.
It is a victory for the United States and United States law enforcement in terms of assuring that when we obtain custody of either narco traffickers or terrorists, that our courts do have the jurisdiction to try those individuals.
Alvarez Machain's lawyers said the case could set a dangerous precedent.
It's an invitation to lawless conduct by U.S. government officials, and it is also an invitation to to foreign officials to kidnap Americans from our own territory.
And the three justices who dissented predicted that the courts of the civilized world will be deeply disturbed by the, quote, monstrous decision. Rita Braver, CBS News at the Supreme Court.
Another federal court case today involves the rights of America's homeless people. Juan Vasquez reports from Miami.
Tony Love, homeless and unemployed, is on his way to the supermarket, but he doesn't go inside. He picks through the dumpster to see what's available.
I still have something to contribute to the American economy and as a society if I can just get back to some productive work.
Tony Love is part of the growing army of homeless Americans. And in a case with nationwide implications, lawyers for the American Civil Liberties Union today asked a federal judge in Miami to rule that the homeless have the same rights as everyone else.
We're trying to prohibit the city from arresting involuntarily homeless people for living in public, for sleeping, for bathing, for sitting, congregating, doing all the kinds of activities that you and I do at home.
With the number of homeless growing across America, more and more cities need answers to the same fundamental questions. Is it a criminal offense to be involuntarily homeless? Do they have the right to live and sleep in public places? And if not, where are they supposed to go? In Miami, some of them camp out along the bayfront, within sight of the cruise ships, spoiling a glittering image designed to attract tourists and becoming frequent targets for police raids.
People out there robbing, stealing, and killing, selling crack to little kids, but they want to come out here and arrest people that sleep outside.
The city claims that in winter, the homeless population swells to 10,000, far more than it can accommodate.
We don't have the resources. We really don't have the resources to deal with a problem of that magnitude.
Other cities are also running out of funds and out of sympathy. The trial is expected to end next week, and a favorable ruling for the homeless could force American cities to confront the problem instead of hoping it will go away. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Miami.
In Los Angeles, there were promises today to local residents and minority contractors that they will not be shut out of jobs rebuilding the city. More about that now from Sonny Kennard.
Los Angeles officials today said they've set up a model program to cut through red tape and begin a massive immediate cleanup of 500 riot-damaged buildings. The plan, they hope, will quell criticism that local residents are being excluded from the cleanup.
We can assure everyone that these contracts are going to go to people who truly represent this community.
Peter Uberoth, who heads the rebuilding effort, attacked the state legislature for not loosening regulations, which he claims hamper minority firms and endanger the recovery.
They're a job-killing machine that keeps jobs out of the state of California and especially out of the central part of Los Angeles.
The legislators, strapped with an $11 billion deficit, refused to give aid, and one senator proposing to hike the sales tax to finance rebuilding dropped his bill because of public opposition.
They said to me in letters and in phone calls threatening to deport me. I was born here in the U.S., to go back to Mexico.
In addition to the lack of state aid, there is also a noticeable decline in the amount of relief support that the community is willing to donate. Food lines in south central Los Angeles are still there, but the food isn't, at least not in the plentiful amounts it once was. Organizations complain people are forgetting as the memory of the riot begins to fade.
It's the old story. I think we have traditionally put Band-Aids on hemorrhage kind of situations.
And relief agencies warn short-term care is not a remedy for what's expected to be a long-term problem. Cindy Kennard, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The scene today in Chicago is familiar, reminiscent of unrest in Los Angeles and other cities, but race apparently had little, if anything, to do with this urban rampage. It was sparked by a triumph on the basketball court. Jacqueline Adams has more.
It was a nail-biter inside the stadium until Michael Jordan exploded for 12 points in the fourth quarter, assuring the Chicago Bulls the top spot among basketball's elite.
The Chicago Bulls have won the NBA championship for the second straight season.
Quickly, however, the Bulls' victory turned sour as fans, both black and white, exploded in an orgy of arson and looting. Police expect the final arrest total to reach 1,000.
Throwing debris, objects at us, rocks, bottles, whatever. The gunfire in the background.
The violence extended all the way from the poverty-ridden streets that surround the stadium to the posh shops along Chicago's Miracle Mile. 90 police officers were injured. 2 people were critically burned. The fans' frenzy was so complete, not even a televised plea from the Bulls' most valuable player could calm them.
Let's just enjoy ourselves, but let's not tear up the city. It's our city.
Today, all was quiet as officials listed causes for the violence.
The weather, the extreme excitement of the game, as you're all aware, and probably some of this whole all-around atmosphere in a post-Rodney King verdict.
But officials think last night's violence had more to do with the fans' pent-up excitement than long-simmering social frustrations. After all, they said, the Bulls' victory was the first time in 29 years that a Chicago team had won a national championship at home. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, New York.
Police in Belmar, New Jersey are recovering after imposing a state of emergency when a giant-sized beach party turned violent. 75,000 people, the overwhelming majority of them white, were attending a music and sports festival yesterday sponsored by MTV. In the disturbance that followed, at least 28 people were arrested and about 30 hurt, including the town's mayor. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, Boris Yeltsin arrives in Washington, but how is he playing back home? And Eye on America. Tonight, you will see a CBS News investigation. Why you'd better watch your bags at the nation's airports.
Can you relate to good looks? Can you relate to anti-lock brakes and a driver's side airbag? How about a new engine with variable valve timing? The new Civic EX sedan from Honda. A luxury car you can relate to.
Because sometimes the day ends and the pain doesn't, we've created Tylenol PM. With extra strength Tylenol pain reliever, plus a gentle ingredient to help you sleep. Tylenol PM, so you can rest easy.
Gas pressure means pain and bloating. And the way doctors see it, your best choice for relief is Mylanta gas. It has the best medicine for gas.
President Bush praised Russian President Boris Yeltsin in a CNN interview today, calling Yeltsin a courageous leader. Yeltsin arrived today for his White House summit starting tomorrow. Yeltsin goes into these talks still popular with some at home, but under growing pressure to start producing results, as we hear from Anthony Mason.
After a year in office and a painful winter, this is the kind of reception Boris Yeltsin still gets on Russian streets. Thank you, Boris. Have a good trip, she says. Thank you for your wishes for a healthy journey, he replies, and I am healthy. Fit and committed to reform, Yeltsin told 60 Minutes this weekend, there's no turning back for Russia. In fact, there are signs Yeltsin is slowing the pace of reform to ease the pain. He's postponed an increase in energy prices and is minting rubles like mad to cover the budget deficit. Yeltsin is still counting on help from the West. This weekend, he asked U.S. Ambassador Robert Strauss, Congress isn't going to approve our aid package before the summit, is it? The ambassador had to give him the bad news.
No, but they have passed the committees now.
Russia will get $24 billion in Western aid as soon as the International Monetary Fund gives the go-ahead. But the IMF wants the reforms to move even faster, and Russia is resisting.
If Russia does what the IMF wants, what happens?
I think it will be bankruptcy to most of our agriculture and industry, mass unemployment, and big political bank.
The far right is already accusing Yeltsin of selling out to the West, turning Russia into an American colony.
The resentment against the West is beginning to build here. There are too many Westerners, not only Americans, but particularly Americans, here in Moscow, telling the Russian government what it ought to do.
But Yeltsin's popularity still rises above the discontent, and he has no serious political rival. I'm not planning to resign, he said before he left. Only God can remove me from the presidency, and no one else. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Moscow.
The Lebanon hostage era may have finally ended today with the reported release of the last two Western captives. The two German relief workers were freed in Beirut. They were seized more than 3 years ago by terrorists linked to the pro-Iranian Hezbollah group. Stay here with us now for more news, including those tiny ticks of Lyme disease and a new vaccine that might stop them.
Searching for the perfect shave? Let Norelco show you what it's like from the inside. Here, there's a system for a close, comfortable shave that exists in no other razor. Our patented lift and cut system lifts the hair so when it's cut, it can actually drop below skin level without the blades even touching your face. So to look better on the surface, remember, Norelco shaves below the surface. Norelco, we make close, comfortable.
How could this happen? They've taken the secret.
Europeans are upset. The Kellogg's Mueslix cereal uses their secret recipe.
This we kept in the family.
After all, they've been guarding this delicious secret forever. Ah, but this luscious blend of sweet fruit, crunchy nuts, and crisp whole grains was destined to become Kellogg's Mueslix.
Angelina, you told?
It wasn't me. I swear.
Kellogg's Mueslix, the European secret for great taste.
Did you know that some insurance companies specify imitation parts for GM cars and trucks? It's true, and many don't measure up to GM standards. So listen to a guy who's been through a fender or two. And insist on genuine GM parts.
Everybody needs some
$12 for every mile over the limit.
That's $300.
You can add fast, too. Next.
To send someone money fast, call 1-800-CALL-CASH or come to any Western Union location. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
It began as a third-rate burglary. It led to the downfall of the president. We know all the players except one. Mike Wallace reveals Watergate, the secret story, Wednesday at 9.
This year's list of summertime health warnings once again includes tick bites that could spread Lyme disease. Now, though, there's a new and promising line of attack against this disease, as Edie Magnusworth tells us.
Researchers have developed a vaccine that appears to immunize field mice against Lyme disease, an infectious illness spread by ticks the size of a sesame seed. In humans, the disease initially causes a rash and flu-like symptoms, and if untreated, can cause arthritis and neurological damage. Today, Yale University scientists announced that laboratory mice injected with a genetically engineered protein did not get the disease when exposed to infected ticks. And surprisingly, the vaccine also turned on the ticks themselves, destroying the bacteria within them, a scientific first.
This vaccine works in two ways. It protects the mouse and it gets rid of the
Lyme disease agent in the ticks.
That dual action creates two very exciting possibilities. That a Lyme disease vaccine for humans may be in the offing, and that it might be possible to inoculate mice in the wild, killing the disease in the ticks which feed on them before the mice could spread the infection to other animals or people.
If successful, that would accomplish the eradication of the Lyme disease agent in the reservoir in the wild. Let me emphasize, this is speculative.
Speculative, too, that what works in mice will work in men. It takes years before a vaccine can be proven safe and effective enough to merit widespread use in humans. Still, it's an encouraging step. Reported cases of Lyme disease are rising, particularly along the nation's coastal areas and Great Lakes, and there's no surefire test to diagnose it. Researchers say the next step will be to test this new vaccine in human volunteers. Clinical trials are scheduled to begin later this year. Dan?
So how close are we to actually having a vaccine, Edie?
Well, as far as a human vaccine, the best estimate is around 5 years. It is possible, however, that sooner than that they will be able to introduce this protein into the wild and see if they can't reduce the number of infected ticks that are out there.
Thanks, Edie. Coming up next, a popular rap singer has Governor Clinton changing his tune.
When people talk about killing other people because of their race, or there are no good members of other race, they are wrong.
I usually eat Kellogg's Raisin Bran. This is total Raisin Bran. I see no reason to change. It's delicious. Oh my goodness. Total Raisin Bran has lots of 100% of a lot of vitamins and minerals. A lot of them. And Kellogg's only has one. But that's a big difference. This
Total
is a big,
Raisin Bran,
I'm really
the Raisin
surprised.
Bran with the total difference.
I would buy Total Raisin Bran even without a coupon. And even without a toy in the box.
The Maytag refrigerator. It's not only durable, it's adjustable, so that whatever the future holds, your Maytag will too. Buy one now and get the best warranty in the business.
Here goes my future.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade. Hold it. Remington's also quick and comfortable with two thin, flexible screens. The Remington microscreen, quick, comfortable, shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. Attaboy, that's Remington.
For a few short weeks at Red Lobster,
Wait till they taste this.
we're putting together lobster, crab, and shrimp.
This is going to be really special.
Ordering.
We're cooking to order sweet lobster, succulent shrimp, and Alaskan snow crab, and serving them all together. Don't miss our best combinations ever. They're just for a limited time. So hurry in tonight for lobster, crab, and shrimp.
Only at Red Lobster.
Is there any way to check out a hospital before you check in? Don't miss Dr. Bob Arnott's special report. It could save your life. Tomorrow on CBS This Morning with Harry Smith and Paula Zahn.
Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton fired back today at some shots from Vice President Quayle, and Clinton stuck by his criticism of a rap music singer who allegedly made racist remarks, including allegedly talking about the desirability of killing white people. As Bill Plant reports, this is part of a tougher talking Clinton.
At 20 minutes after the hour, we're talking to Governor Bill Clinton this morning. Your question.
It's Bill Clinton, live and direct for 2 hours, trying to break out of third place, put an edge on his message, and make the voters listen.
And I'm going to remind the American people that you can be pro-family and pro-choice.
Clinton may not do short and snappy sound bites as well as Ross Perot, but he did snap some folks to attention this weekend in a speech to Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition when he criticized political rapper Sister Soulja.
Wait for me to change my mind. Hold your breath, you'll be dead. Dead.
Soulja was quoted as suggesting that blacks set aside a week to kill white people instead of one another. Clinton says her message was filled with hatred.
When people talk about killing other people because of their race, or there are no good members of other race, they are wrong.
Jackson is annoyed, Soulja isn't talking yet, and Clinton is trying to prove that he's not pandering to the special interests in his party.
If you want to be president, you got a responsibility in a consistent way, even when it's unpopular, to stick up for what you think is right.
Then there are the Republicans who don't even acknowledge that Clinton is a real opponent.
Someone asked me the other day, says, what do you think of this third candidate out there? And I said, I don't think much of Bill Clinton.
Clinton, the butt of Quayle's jabs about elitism, is happy to return the compliment.
He's had a trust fund all his life, and I worked my way through college and law school, and here's this guy telling us that we're in the cultural elite. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Tomorrow, Clinton takes his case to MTV. If news organizations don't bother covering their routine policy statements, the candidates have discovered that they can go direct to live audiences in call-in shows, usually unfiltered by reporters, and say just about anything they please, without much fear of contradiction. Bill Plant, CBS News, New York.
I live in the country, where everything tastes a little sweeter and a little fresher. Maybe that's what I like best about these Sunsweet pitted prunes. I can taste all that goodness in Sunsweet.
Get help in a hurry. Call a Bryant dealer to the rescue. Bryant's Quiet 2-Speed Plus air conditioner has a lower speed to help lower your energy bill. And only your Bryant dealer has it. So call Bryant to the rescue.
Lonesome Dove, the epic as big as the West, is now available on video at new low prices. A 6-hour classic in the 1-cassette EP version or the 4-volume collector's set, now available at new low prices from Cabin Fever.
It's nothing serious. It only wakes me up a couple of times a week. It really doesn't affect me. I avoid foods that are fried or spicy. I can deal with it. I just take antacids.
If you have frequent heartburn symptoms like acid indigestion or burning in the chest, talk to your doctor. These may be signs of a serious medical problem. Your doctor has treatment plans that can help.
It's only a heartburn. I should learn to live with it, right?
Frequent heartburn. Isn't it time you talk to your doctor?
You probably think the best American car value is some little econo box you have to settle for, right? Nope. It's a Buick. The luxurious Buick Park Avenue. That's according to the Complete Car Cost Guide. They calculated the 5-year cost of depreciation, financing, insurance, fuel, maintenance, and repairs, and found that Park Avenue is the best American car value. For a free reprint from the Complete Car Cost Guide, call 1-800-4-BUICK.
With summer in the air and airline fares at their lowest in years, millions of Americans are set to take off on vacation. Most will travel light. Some will have their bags lightened for them. In tonight's Eye on America, Roberta Baskin has the undercover pictures of luggage looters, widespread airport crime that's been flourishing for more than a decade.
What happens to your luggage between the time you hand it over to the airlines in one city and they hand it back in another? Here's what can happen. This surveillance video was taken behind the scenes at New York's LaGuardia Airport. It shows baggage handlers working in teams, almost routinely, searching and stealing from passengers' bags.
Everyone on that shift was a participant. Basically, no bags get through unscathed. In one 8-hour period of time, those people went through 400 bags, and we received not a single pilferage claim on any of those bags. That alone shows you that the problem is much, much greater than any airline is at this point willing to admit.
Lose a bag and you'll most likely report it immediately. But lose something out of your bag and you may not discover it's missing for days. And then you're more likely to wonder where you left it rather than who took it.
Your baggage will be displayed on belt number 2.
There are exceptions. While sitting in an airplane at Miami International Airport, David Slatter had the unusual opportunity of watching his own bag being plundered.
My wife's bag went up, mine went up, and the guy crawled on the conveyor with my bag, and I looked down, and he's unzipping my bag, and he looks up at me and grins.
When he arrived back in Toronto, Slatter discovered his $1,100 camera was missing. But there was no prosecution because Slatter never actually saw the baggage handler take the camera.
I was astonished, that something like this could happen.
It's America's biggest, busiest airports that are prime targets for baggage thieves. At Chicago's O'Hare, a recent FBI sting, codenamed Operation Grab Bag, netted $250,000 in merchandise and cash.
What you have here is a thieves' buffet. People that worked out there, they were stealing these high-quality VHS, they were stealing computers,
Guns.
They were stealing guns and selling them to street gangs.
The FBI arrested 16 baggage handlers. Half of them already had police records. One member of the alleged ring admitted he stole on the job every day.
How widespread was the stealing at O'Hare Airport?
Every day. Every day.
You were going through people's bags and stealing whole suitcases?
Every day.
Sometimes thieves operate alone. In Dallas, airport shuttle bus driver Jonathan L. Walker was arrested trying to make off with someone else's luggage. Police later found 43 missing bags stashed in his home.
Okay, these are off of flight 1117.
Despite these cases, the airline industry says there is no problem. They receive complaints on less than 1% of the millions of bags they handle. But the fact is, there are no reliable statistics on luggage looting. Passengers don't necessarily report it to the airlines. Airlines don't necessarily report it to the police.
That bag is totally unsecure.
So what can passengers do? According to the experts, even locking your luggage won't stop the pros.
These are keys to 21 different bags. Lark, American Tourister, Samsonite. And this was taken off of a baggage pilferer who had not been at it for very long, because this is not that many keys.
Tie, strap, or tape your luggage and it might help. Or it might tempt a thief to take the whole bag. The best advice? Carry anything you value on board with you. Check them through, and you may find someone else has been checking them out. In Washington, Roberta Baskin for Eye in America.
Luggage looters going mostly unchecked at airports. Part of our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. I'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
CBS News.
Next on the TV8 News, live at 6, the Police Review Board again before the City Council.
A day of reckoning for the Police Department and the City Council. I'm Todd Magel, a live report coming up next.
I'm Sarah Jarvis. More talk, but no agreement in the budget stalemate. I'll have reaction.
And also tonight, don't miss Dana Carden's story on the Iowa man granting a hunter's last wish about a final resting place.
Connie with rain in the forecast and Heidi with a sports challenge. TV8 News is next.
Batman Returns is at McDonald's on a dramatic series of 6 32-ounce collector cups filled with a large soft drink, then topped off with a flying frisbee bat disc lid straight from the movie. You can collect these superheroic cups each at a special price because what you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
McDonald's saves the day with extra value meals, including any large sandwich, large French fries, and a medium soft drink, all for just $2.99 for limited time at participating McDonald's.
It's Buick's Drive to Savings. Now at your quality Buick dealer. Drive home the best overall American car value. The Buick Park Avenue for only $399 a month. Or drive your best deal on a new Regal and get up to $1,500 cash back. Get $1,000 cash back on Roadmaster and Century. Or choose financing as low as 2.9% on the full Buick line. Now's the time to make your drive to savings. See your nearest quality Buick dealer.
Hey, when you're in the mood for something a little bit tangy, a little bit spicy, yeah, try Heinz 57 sauce. It's like ketchup with a kick.
Thank you for watching KCCI TV8 in Des Moines. And now from TV8, Iowa's news leader, Paul Rhodes. Kevin Koenig, Connie McBurney with weather, and Heidi Soliday Sports. This is TV8 News, live at 6.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. This is a day of reckoning for the city of Des Moines, its police department, and those community members who say the police department needs independent control.
For the past 6 months, city leaders have tangled with each other and with community leaders on how to handle allegations of police misconduct. TV8's Todd Magel joins us live from City Hall. And Todd, why is tonight's meeting so important?
Well, Paul, this is the final vote scheduled by the Des Moines City Council on whether an independent Citizens Review Board should keep an eye on the Des Moines Police Department. Several hundred people packed into the City Council chambers tonight waiting for this decision, which has been waited for at least a month now. The city already, though, has voted against the plan several months ago, but pressure from minority leaders and others has the concept back on the table. Now, the controversy stems from an arrest this past December involving Des Moines man Larry Milton. He claimed police brutality and rallied hundreds of supporters. Months later, a grand jury and the police department found no evidence of any kind of brutality against Milton. But even then, calls for an independent review board have kept coming. Even today, during an emergency meeting of the Des Moines Human Rights Commission, members say some kind of citizen participation in police controversies is needed.
A large segment, and I think it's not just a minority community, by the way, a large segment of our community believes that why can't responsible citizens examine what goes on with respect to some of these cases?
Now, the City of Des Moines Police Department has said and continues to say that it can police itself along with several other agencies like the grand jury that can make a decision on whether there has been any brutality. And late this afternoon, Des Moines Mayor John Pat Dorian opened up the council meeting by saying that he does not think there is support from the council members for any kind of review board. Instead, Des Moines City Manager Cy Carney has come up with some other changes for the Des Moines Police Department. They include creating a city office of professional standards that would report to the police chief and conduct investigations. He also is calling for the city manager himself and the Des Moines Human Rights Director to play some kind of a role in investigating any misconduct police cases. He also requires or is looking for an establishing of a human rights training and accreditation for the Des Moines Police Department. He's also even considering using some kind of video cameras to record treatment of police when they're with criminals and also when they're in the jail here. Of course, all of those ideas are on the table tonight. A vote is looking, I would say, nobody's coming out yet, but a vote could come very soon. And if one does come, we'll have it for you later on in the news. Kevin and Paul.
Thank you, Todd.
The countdown also on to balancing the state budget for this fiscal year. There are only 14 days left in the 1992 fiscal year, and the governor and lawmakers have been meeting behind closed doors to try and work out a compromise. TVA State House reporter Sarah Jarvis in the newsroom now, and negotiations getting the budget problem solved, Sarah?
Well, Kevin, it's going very slow. In fact, Senate President Mike Gronsdale says they haven't even gotten to the point where they're negotiating yet. He says the governor and lawmakers are only to the point of talking about possible options on the budget. No deals have been made.
What are we going to accomplish? Yeah, I hope a great deal, but I have no false hopes.
Lawmakers are no closer tonight to deciding on a date for a second special session than they were when they headed into the governor's office this morning. Both sides met for more than 2 hours, but there are major stumbling blocks. The governor's spokesman, Dick Voss, is blaming House Democrats.
The House Democrats are not looking for a solution. They're looking for political advantage in the situation. It seems like they're almost wanting the governor to be forced into making very deep cuts in all parts of government so that they can try and run on that issue in the fall.
Neither side seems optimistic that a solution will be found soon.
A solution is possible. I think that's pretty clear. I think it's pretty clear we all want a solution. I think all sides are prepared to come to that solution. Whether they get to that point or not really remains to be seen.
Now, neither lawmakers or the governor will tell us exactly what's being talked about in those private meetings. They'll only say that different options are being put on the table. Kevin?
All right, Sarah, let's say, for example, there's no special session before June 30th. Is there a budget for the next fiscal year all set up?
Well, yes, technically, and it is balanced, but it includes a gutted Medicaid program. So massive across-the-board cuts would have to be made to make up that money, and then that money would be funneled into Medicaid. It's a very complicated process. We'll have have more tonight at 10.
All right, thanks a lot, Sarah Jarvis. Also tonight, Senate Majority Leader Bill Hutchins says he is going to resign from the Senate before the end of this month. The Senate's top Democrat already has announced he will not seek re-election this fall, but today Hutchins said he will quit this month and not wait until the election time. Now, quitting now would allow Hutchins to take a lobbying job right away. There is a new law that takes effect the 1st of July that prohibits outgoing lawmakers from lobbying for 2 years. Now, Hutchins says he does not have a lobbying job lined up, but he wants to keep his options open.
This November, voters will be making a number of important choices at the polls, and today an influential Washington, D.C. newspaper predicted that Iowa's 5th District Congressman Jim Ross Lightfoot is the most likely House member to be defeated anywhere in the country this fall. TV8's Steve Oswald has reaction.
Iowa's 5th District Congressman Jim Ross Lightfoot has had a difficult year. In March, he was explaining about the 105 checks that he bounced at a U.S. House bank. Today, more bad news. Jim Ross Lightfoot was rated as the most vulnerable U.S. House incumbent in this fall's elections. The source of the latest bit of bad news, the influential insider Washington, D.C. newspaper, The Roll Call. Lightfoot's challenger, Elaine Baxter, sees it as no surprise.
It's something I've been working for a long time to convince people that this is a winnable race. And what this shows is that other people now have the confidence that I've had that I can win this race.
The Republican Party still believes that Lightfoot can win.
She is a very liberal Democrat, and I think there are just more conservative Democrats down in that district that have shown a propensity to cross over and vote for Republicans.
But both Baxter and Lightfoot admit from here on, the race won't be easy.
I think it's going to be very, very tough. It's very difficult to defeat an incumbent, but I think that I'm more in tune with the voters of this district, and I think they will turn to me because they want to see a change in Washington.
Jim Ross Lightfoot is on the move, getting known over there. I think he's getting out and around the district. People like him when they meet him, and I honestly believe he's going to win with a good victory in November.
Both campaigns might want to take note that during its last predictions in 1990, Roll Call was right 80% of the time. Steve Oswald, TV8 News.
The controversy over a South Side House election in Des Moines is over. A recount today showed that Michael Cataldo has won the Democratic primary over 6 opponents. The preliminary count found Cataldo's a few votes shy of the required 35% in the primary, but the recount put Cataldo over the top. He will now face Republican Charles Jensen in District 68 in November.
West Burlington police are investigating a murder tonight. Authorities confirmed the death of 39-year-old Luann Sims was the result of foul play. Her body found in her apartment Saturday night in West Burlington. Police chief there is not saying how Sims died, pending the results of an autopsy. No word of any suspects in the case.
Hearing continued today on the parental rights of Joanne Taggart, the mother of Jonathan Waller. The juvenile court judge is hearing testimony about Taggart's ability to care for her children. Taggart is charged with child endangerment in the alleged abuse of Jonathan Waller. Authorities say Taggart allowed her ex-boyfriend to abuse the 4-year-old boy. The judge will decide whether Taggart should lose custody rights over Jonathan and his sister Heather. No word on when a ruling can be expected.
Well, finally, Connie, there is a good chance of rain to talk about.
Boy, we've talked about it for a long time. It just hasn't come, but at last, if you take a look at live radar, you'll see some tiny little blue dots. It may not look like much yet, but over there in Nebraska and Missouri is long-awaited rain and thunderstorms. Over the next 2 days, Iowa has several good chances to get some much-needed rain. Forecast and more weather later in the news.
And next on the TVA News, a local businessman who helps avid hunters fire a shot for eternity. Dana Carter's Eye on Iowa when we come back.
Hi, my name's Mike Spurl. I used to have cancer. A few years ago, I was on TV for Iowa Methodist Medical Center.
They smiled when things went well. They shared tears with us when things didn't go well.
This time, I'd like to say thanks to the people at Iowa Methodist and to remind everybody that I'm still here, better than ever. And so is the Cancer Center at Iowa Methodist.
The new John Stoddard Cancer Center at Iowa Methodist. We're in this fight together.
What makes Iowa Realty's Home Show 92 such a crowd pleaser? The home builders. 12 of Des Moines' finest craftsmen showcasing their work in a dozen luxurious homes. The interior designers, artistry and innovation from contemporary to classic. The exhibits, home improvement products with on-site demonstrations and information. But perhaps the best reason of all is that Home Show 92 benefits the Variety Club of Iowa. So don't miss it, June 20th through the 28th at Country Club in Clyde.
Bonjour! Today we'll be cooking a fabulously simple dish, lamb couscous in a saffron tamarind sauce en croûte.
Easy for her to say. Even easier is just to come to Perkins for our special summer menu filled with waffles, salads, pitas, and skewers. So come on in for Perkins' summer menu, because the easiest way to cook with imagination
Simple, no?
is to let us do it for you.
Now for the entree.
Here's important information that you may not have thought of before. The #1 auto dealers in Iowa are all in one location. Shop the best and biggest dealers in Iowa for the lowest possible price, the best selections, and top-rated service on Merle Hay Road. It's the Merle Hay Auto Mile. Des Moines Chrysler Plymouth, Bob Brown Chevrolet Geo, Charles Gabus Ford, Acura of Des Moines, Stivers Lincoln Mercury, Bob Brown Isuzu, Friedman Toyota Volkswagen Saab, Suzuki Incorporated, and Hummel's Nissan. So shop the mile. You're watching TV8, Central Iowa's most watched news at 6 and 10.
The fight over the sale of state-owned WOI television could end up in court. A group opposed to the sale has hired Des Moines law firm Hawkins & Norris to represent it. Officials of Iowans for WOI say they will seek a court injunction to block the sale if necessary. The group's members include Iowa State professors and 14 former members of the State Board of Regents. The current board approved the sale of WOI last month to Citadel Communications of New York, conditional upon the drawing up of a satisfactory contract. The regents are scheduled to discuss that contract at their meeting on Wednesday in Iowa City. Tomorrow, Iowa State students opposed to the sale plan to rally on the Ames campus.
We've all heard of people who, after they're dead, want their ashes scattered over the ocean or the Grand Canyon, something like that. Now there's a new twist to that. Iowa reporter Dana Carden says if you're an avid sports person, the Des Moines Man has a unique way for you to reach the happy hunting grounds.
Well, there's an ideal spot right there.
When Jay Knutson Sr. and his son Jay aren't busy with their landscaping business, you'll usually find them out here hunting. But more and more these days, they're being kept busy with their other business, taking care of the cremated remains of fallen hunters.
This is one that is finished with the cremations inserted into the duck decoy.
Their business is called Canuck Sportsman's Memorials, and essentially what they do is place the ashes of deceased hunters and other sports people into hand-carved duck and other waterfowl decoys. The decoys then replace the traditional urns on the fireplace mantle.
There are a number of things that you can do to be constructive and creative and to bring a brighter side to the passing of a deceased sports person.
The decoys don't always remain on the mantle, however. Some of Knutson's clients arrange to have the decoys sent along on trips with hunting buddies, so they're never far from the shooting. And then there's a father who wanted his ashes placed in a fishing lure for his son.
The son will continue to use this lure fishing for the rest of his life.
Knutson will also load the ashes into shotgun shells, if requested, to go up on the mantle with the decoys. But some clients want to have their remains loaded into live shells and then used during hunting trips to their favorite wilderness areas.
They simply want to be laid to rest in that place that they've spent a lot of happy hours.
Knutson knows that some might find the idea of all this unusual, to say the least, but he understands why avid sports people would want to go out this way. It was while thinking of what to do with his own remains that he came up with the idea of Sportsman's Memorials.
Well, it's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yeah. Dana Carden in Des Moines with an eye on Iowa.
Knutson's memorials can cost anywhere from several $100s to several thousand, depending on the request. Knutson said he averages about one client per week.
The latest crop report shows hot and dry weather putting strain on Iowa corn.